Hello and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hops Geek News. I hope you've all been doing very well this Christmas time because today's episode is all about Krampus.
Dun
That's
dun
right.
dun.
He sees you when you are sleeping. He knows when you haven't been listening to your parents or breaking their teachers' laptops at school. He's coming for you. Just know that. But first things first, uh, well, if this is your first time, thanks for hanging out and joining us. We are Hops Geek News, a podcast that discusses comic books, movies, TV shows. We have a beer of the week typically as well. And you can find us by searching Hops Geek News on any podcasting platform, as well as looking for us on any social media platform by searching Hops Geek News. Support us by leaving a review and subscribing to us. And then also, if you want to help us even further, patreon.com/Hops Geek News is where we can be found. Like I said, today's episode is on Krampus. I am Matt. With me is Lauren. And my beer today is the Two Roads Brewing Company Holiday Ale, which holiday cheer from Two Roads. That's what I'm drinking. I was going to drink a stout. I'm not today. I'm going to save it for next week when I can feel a little bit better. I've been dealing with some under the weatherness, but to our good friends, Holiday Ale, Bière du de Noël. I don't know. I'm illiterate, but from the Two Roads crew. So shout out
It's
to
a very
Stacy.
unenthusiastic beer review.
Yeah, shout out to Stacy who has sent us this. If you've never had it before, Two Roads makes a killer beer. They make really great things, and this has a lot of good spices, things like that, holiday goodness from it. So, Lauren, what are you drinking?
I am still sipping on my 1010 beer.
There you go.
This is a brewery in Orlando, 1010 Brewing, and they release this every Christmas. It's Santa's White Christmas Stout, and it is brewed with White Christmas from Barney's. So
Wow.
if anybody, I didn't even think they were still around. Like I remember getting like Barney's milkshakes at like the mall when I was a kid. Now I feel there's like two Barney's left ever, and apparently 1010 has bought all of their coffee at Christmas. But for anybody watching on the YouTube, you can see I have it in my hi buddy. I hope you find your dad glass. I always feel like I have to do the whole like he comes up and goes down.
Mr.
Hi
Narwhal.
buddy.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
Hope you find your dad.
We
But
watched that one last weekend, actually, I think.
I was very excited to talk about Krampus. So I went to my first Krampus fest this weekend at
Oh,
Sideward Brewing, and it was so much fun. So I didn't get there like it was like running like all day. And a lot of these fests nowadays they're showcasing local artists and whatnot. And Sideward did a great one around Halloween time, but it was so fun because it was so many people that like love Halloween that are like celebrating Christmas, and they had a
yeah.
Krampus contest. So a bunch of people were dressed up like Krampus. I got this sweet shirt that has Krampus
Whoa.
on it. They of course Sideward Brewing is great beer, so we were able to get great beer. You had some Sideward has great food too, and I love boiled peanuts. I know that's a big hot button issue with some people. You love it or you hate it. Nobody's like, oh, I could go for boiled peanuts. You love them or you loathe them.
I'm
I
indifferent,
love
so.
them. But it had a ton of vendors, and they said once it got later, like dark, like they recommended kids not being there, which is about when we got there. And it was just, oh my gosh, so much amazing art, such great beer, such great people watching. And anytime you go to any of those festivals, it's like so much camaraderie. And there's this one shop that opened recently right before Halloween, and I had heard about them and hadn't been there. And I was actually talking to one of the owners, and it's called Atomic Horror, and is literally a horror shop. And I was like, well, do you switch it out for Christmas? They're like, no, we do just horror. And I was like,
Cool.
oh, I need to come check it out. And they're not too far from Tactical. So that was pretty cool. We met some other guy that was selling some sweet stuff that's talking about he's starting to open a brewery called Mythos Brewing that'll be opening
Hmm.
soon, or he's brewing soon or something like that. So I'm gonna be on the lookout for that. But yeah, it was a great time. And Krampus fests, if you hear about them, because there's one in Stanford too, they're usually around December 5th, 6th is when Krampus Schnaut is. So if your local town's having one, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I there was one in Garden City. I don't know if it was this past weekend or this coming weekend, but I do want to go at some point. It's a pretty fun time. So Krampus, I like Krampus. So we'll get to that here shortly. Uh we still, hey, we're on a hot streak. We haven't messed up, or maybe we just haven't looked into it, or maybe Sean hasn't called us out. But what we've
Yeah.
been reading or watching, I've been reading, I haven't read anything. I brought a stack of comics into my quarantine hole because I've been sick with COVID. And I didn't read anything. I didn't have the energy. I'll be honest with you. I was just laid up watching football, but I did watch Home Alone 1 and 2. Great movies as always, of course. So I always forget just how much fun those movies are, but also how the fact that like these people should probably not have kids. They probably should have taken their kids away, especially after the second time they left Kevin home alone. But that's neither here nor there. I watched A Christmas Story Christmas, though. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not a fan of A Christmas Story, just never really cared for it, not my thing. However, this movie has a lot of heart and soul to it. It's Ralphie, he's grown up, and this is kind of an homage to his dad, which I was talking to you about. I For some reason I always thought that A Christmas Story, his dad just hated Christmas and he was grouchy and all this other stuff. But apparently that's not the case, because his dad in this movie, they're like, oh, he always loved Christmas, he always did this, he left gifts out. I was like, maybe that's just not the dad that I remember. But uh Flick and Schwartz, their actors return. Ralphie's back, of course. Ralphie has kids and a wife and things like that. He's trying to be an aspiring writer. They gave him 1 year to go be a writer, and so that plays into it a little bit. But overall, I mean, he goes home and to his mom after his dad passed away, without getting too spoiler heavy. And the movie kind of goes from there. A lot of good callbacks to the original Christmas Story. Ralphie's inner monologue is going on. But overall, I thought this is going into my Christmas rotation. I gotta say, I enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
I thought it was super cute. I got to watch it too. And I think the thing, because, the dad is angry and he's cursing and he's this and that, but I think it was just, the best line I thought
Can
from that movie was
relate.
you can tell your kids a million things and they only remember the bad things you say to them. So it's
Yeah.
like they're only going to remember when dad, freaks out because the heater's broken again or the dog ate the turkey or something. But in the end, like the dad, like he got the kids what they wanted for Christmas. And like you see him at the end enjoying Christmas with the mom. So I did love that. And even when, they're like, oh, go see Santa, it was like he wanted that that perfect Christmas for his kids. And what I loved here was the Christmas Story, I feel like was targeting kids. And I feel like A Christmas Story Christmas is targeting the parents because we're
That's a really
still
good point.
from Ralphie's perspective. And
Yeah.
like the older I get, the more I feel like I turn into Clark Griswold. Like when we were setting up the tree, I don't know why. Every year we're, at the tree lot and I love the tree. And then we get home and I'm like, oh God, I hate this tree. It's not perfect. And then it falls and it's perfect and I love it.
Or
And I
like while
do
you're
this shit
setting up all
every
the lights
year.
and stuff like that, you're just cussing and you're just like, this is the worst ever. Why do I do this? What am I doing? Why do we go all out? And then when you actually sit there and enjoy it, like, I really like this. This is nice. Oh
Yes.
wow, I'm in the spirit now. But while you're
Yeah.
doing anything, you're just cussing your face off. Oh God.
Right. And I
It's
even
a
said, I'm
funny
like,
thing
I
to
don't know
do.
why I do this every year. I get mad and then I love it. And then I was freaking out that the tree wasn't drinking enough. It's still drinking. I think it's good. Um, but yeah, so I thought that was great. I also watched Tusk. What the actual fuck?
Oh,
So if anybody's
yeah.
not familiar with this movie, this is a Kevin Smith movie, but it is not like a Jay and Silent Bob Kevin Smith movie by any means. It starts Justin Long. I had absolutely zero idea of what I was getting into. I felt like I heard a little bit about this when we were in Salt Lake because we saw Kevin Smith and we saw
Yep.
Jay and we actually interviewed, Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. That's like my anytime I get a chance to say that, I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I'm riding high on that still, so
Oh, 100%.
without a doubt.
And yeah, and when we do our yearly wrap up, that's going to be the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yes.
But I guess people had made comments about like, oh, if you have you seen Kevin's other movies? And
Tusk
I
was
was not
great.
prepared
I
for this.
like
Nothing was
Tusk.
going to prepare me for the ridiculousness of this. It's on HBO Max if anybody wants to watch it. Uh, he got Johnny Depp to be in this movie. Like how?
Yeah. Well, Johnny Depp's daughter played
Right,
yeah.
his daughter and Kevin Smith's daughter, they're clerks at like the gas station.
Yes. Yoga hosers.
But it took me a second. I'm like, I know that person because they have prosthetics on Johnny Depp, so you can't tell who he is right away. And I was waiting for the credits to roll so I could verify it was Johnny Depp without going to IMDb. And all of
And
a
it
sudden, you hear
was.
Kevin Smith talking about the movie, and he sounds so high and he's laughing. It's like he literally got high one day and came up with this idea to make this movie. The basic premise is Justin Long has a podcast. He interviews interesting people. He goes to this guy's house to interview him. He wakes up and he's missing a leg. And then there's a whole lot more. And this
He's
guy
turned
has
to a
some
fucking
major
walrus.
weird. I see. I was trying not to because that blew my mind.
It's 10 years old. It's 10
Okay.
years old. Justin
I
Long
was
gets turned into a
shocked.
gosh damn walrus, okay?
Well, and the
And
fact
it
that
is
that wasn't even the end of the movie, that
disturbing.
was the middle.
Yeah. He's turned into a walrus by the middle. It's disturbing. And
It
they're
is
making a
so.
sequel.
There's a sequel.
They're making one. Where have you? Oh, you don't. I've announced this on the show. Yeah. They're
I guess
making a
because I've never seen
sequel.
the first one, I just kind of just
Yeah, they're making a sequel.
holy shit. Well, I'm gonna have to watch that.
They're gonna make a sequel. It is
Oh my
gonna
gosh. I
be
don't know how
something.
like Justin Long. Oh my
They're
God.
good
Why?
friends. Justin Long's in the Clerks movies and stuff. Yeah, so
I can't imagine how he kept a straight face when he had the walrus costume on.
it's disturbing. It's awesome, but
It's so
disturbing.
disturbing. So now
Yeah,
I still haven't seen Yoga Hosers. That's not
that I like
disturbing,
Yoga
right?
Hosers. No, that one's not disturbing. It's a
Okay.
good movie. No, it's not disturbing. There's some stuff where you're gonna be asking yourself, "What the fuck?" but in a different way.
All right.
But
I did finally watch the Obi-Wan documentary.
oh, nice.
Highly recommend that if you haven't seen it, the making of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's so cute seeing Ewan McGregor and Christian
Could
Haydenson
eat
like
them
see each
up.
other again and
I
then
could
play with
just eat them up.
lightsabers.
Yes,
What?
I could just eat them right up.
Yeah, it's adorable. And so Winchesters, all of my supernatural friends have given up on Winchesters already. I'm
Really,
still
that
watching.
bad?
It's plot hole after plot hole.
Oof.
It's not that it's that bad. The first one was amazing. What's it's just they keep poking holes in it. And they're like, "Don't worry, we're gonna fix it." Tom Welling finally showed up at the end of the last episode, which we knew he was gonna. So I am excited to see him in the next one, which probably won't be till January. I don't know. But the reason I'm bringing this up now and not at the end of it is because I want to give a theory, and I don't want this to be like, "Oh, I thought that," and
We're a
nobody believed me because I
supernatural
didn't say it.
podcast now, anyways. So
I think my theory is completely wrong. But we learned in the supernatural world that there is a supernatural multiverse. So maybe this is the
just make him go
multiverse
watch our TikTok.
where Mary did not make a deal.
Oh, oh, I don't know what any of this means, but oh, maybe.
But yeah,
Oh,
if anybody
ah,
likes supernatural, go check out that
yeah.
TikTok. The
Oh.
amount of responses on that TikTok is amazing. And I'm loving all the different theories. And then like one guy's just like, no.
I love the
So
random
that's
people who are just like, no, this is awful.
right. I kind of just wanted to respond with a laugh, but I didn't want him to think I was making fun of him. But it's just that truly just because I asked like people's opinion, and he's just like, I'm like, could the supernatural
Absolutely
universe be
not.
part of the DC multiverse? And I gave my whole reason why with video clips, and the one guy just like, no. And he's
I gave my
probably right,
10
but
minute
still,
thesis. I've been
man.
watching one real quick before we move on. I've actually been watching Wednesday. Have you been watching that at all? Have you
I
watched it?
watched the first two with Brielle, and then she took off and watched the rest of it without me.
Oh, gee, what?
Cold hearted.
There are some things you don't do. Like, there are just some
She
things
loves it. She's
that
obsessed
you
with it.
don't do. And I love the show. We have an episode and a half left before we finish the season. I know, guys are moving slow. How dare I? I didn't finish it in the day that it came out, like all you other nerds, but it's a really good show. I got like Jenna Ortega, fantastic. All the cast in general is great. It's very mysterious, has some funny moments. And
A lot
again,
of
it's another,
callbacks.
yeah, a lot of callbacks. And the show has heart. Again, another show that has a lot of heart. And I'm enjoying it. So I got an episode and a half. I'll do my series review when I finish it up. But that's the last thing I actually was watching besides COVID naps, like I said.
Hey, you need those naps for COVID.
Oh, I'm still tired, but I've been playing Pokemon Violet. My mom got me Pokemon Violet for Christmas because my brother and I could play together. And then my Switch was dead for too long, so it took 4 days to charge my battery back up. So that's
Oh my
fun.
God.
Yeah,
Four
no,
days?
I was like, yeah, I got a new video game to play while I'm in COVID isolation. And then my Switch wouldn't
You can
charge.
charge a car faster
And then
than that.
my once you let your battery on the Switches, because Nintendo's all jacked up, if your Switch dies for too long and you don't charge it, the battery has to do all sorts of weird stuff. So yeah, it took me 4 days to charge my Switch, but I'm there, and I hope it doesn't take that long again.
It's like downloading a document with dial up. What
It
the
was awful.
hell?
It was awful. Yeah.
I'm glad you powered through.
Anyways, we got some news. Let's go into some news. Why don't you lead us off with some news?
All I have to say is your one piece of news. I thought you were about World War III. I was like, what the hell?
Yep, World War III is not on the menu according to James Gunn. All right, fine, I'll take it.
World War II was so bad. I
All
meant
right.
Wonder Woman too. Though both of them were bad.
I mean,
I don't
World
want to
War
see
II
either
is
of them
probably a
again.
little more interesting than Wonder Woman 2, to be fair. There was a lot of
Oy.
plot twists going on in World War II, depending on who you ask.
All
But
right, so
go ahead.
in World War II, a lot of plot twists.
I don't
Oh,
know.
oh,
We're just
Jesus
getting
Christ!
spicy.
No pun intended.
Depending on who
Okay,
you're talking to these days.
yeah.
Kanye.
Okay, The Boys season 4 has cast Rosemary DeWitt, Elliot Knight, and Rob Benedict, who is Chuck from Supernatural. I am very excited. I'll go ahead. Actually, there's another piece of news. Alex Calvert, who plays Jack in Supernatural, got cast in Gen V. So Kripke is bringing all of these supernatural people over to the Boys universe. And
Wow.
that was actually one of the comments on our
Wow.
TikTok where somebody said, well, what if the Boys is another
Wow.
universe of supernatural? Anybody not watching on the video, Matt is
Wow.
just mocking me. Wow. Are you doing the Luke
Yeah.
Owen
Oh,
Wilson?
wow.
Wow. Okay. So the one, and I love that theory because Bobby Singer is Robert Singer in The Boys. So he's literally has the same name. That's true. He's still mocking
Wow.
me. And they've brought Jensen over. They've brought, Rob Jeffrey Dean Morgan's coming. Now you're gonna have Chuck and you're gonna have Jack, and there's been some other ones too.
I can't believe they haven't brought the other guy over.
It's only a matter of time. He's busy playing Walker, Texas
What's
Ranger.
Sam doing out there? Has anybody watched Walker? No, probably
I have
not.
not.
Couldn't tell you a single soul who has watched Walker, Texas Ranger.
I know that Jensen's on some show called Big Sky now, and I've seen this clip multiple times. I haven't seen
It's
anything from
about
the episode.
Montana.
I have no idea. Maybe
Oh, that's what they call. I don't know. I was just curious.
it's on ABC.
Oh, yeah, no idea. Changes nothing.
So I guess there's a scene where he goes to somebody's house and brings them bread for food and then salt and for demons because she was like, "Oh, for demons," and he's like, "Yep." So they weren't even subtle.
Interesting.
All right. So the trailer for Gen V, which is a Boy spinoff, has been out. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Although it's really just,
It's bloody.
yeah, very bloody.
Lots of
There's
blood.
no
So much blood.
plot or, yeah. So I can only imagine what the show is going to be like. December 13th, there will be a new trailer for Spider Man Across the Spider Verse. The Midnight Club, for all of those of you who watched it during
All
Halloween
five.
time and then felt very disappointed when it left with a cliffhanger, well, guess what? Netflix has canceled it, and that is it. We're
Probably
done.
because okay, but to be fair, he just signed a massive deal with Amazon, so that probably had something to do with it.
Oh, that's still not fair.
He did release Michael Flanagan has released what would have happened in the rest of the Midnight Club. So if you want to go read it, he put that out there for public knowledge.
Okay, I'm gonna Google that then. All right, Michael Gandolfini has been cast in Daredevil, so I loved him when he played his younger
Well, he's going
dad
to play
self
young
in the
Wilson Fisk,
Sopranos
I bet.
movie. Wait, what?
Look, he's probably going to play young Wilson Fisk. Look at that beefcake.
Oh,
That's you're going to tell me? Yeah, I bet you we're going to get some flashback sequences to young Wilson Fisk, and that's exactly who he's playing, I bet.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally on board with it.
Yeah. Splash Mountain at Disney is finally closing next month. You actually sent me this piece of news, and it will
That's right,
reopen as
folks.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure in late 2024.
I'm excited for that's wow, that's going to take that long.
Probably longer. Who knows? We're still waiting for Tron.
No
They
one
have
cares.
been working on Tron since
But
before the
like
pandemic.
it's a little interesting. Disney can move fast, but they're moving pretty slow with this stuff.
Well, Epcot is still completely gutted in the middle.
Still?
Oh, yeah. And it's been gutted since 2019.
Jeesh.
They're slowly opening up more things, but the whole center after the ball, like in 2019, I remember because I had first started writing the articles for Hops News, and I remember walking in and it just looking like crap. At least when you walk in now, it's nice and there's a new thingy up and whatnot until you get to the ball, and then it's all construction. So you have to go right or left. You can't go straight to the World Showcase. So
Weird.
because they knocked down all of those buildings. So if you haven't been to Epcot in a few years, the World Showcase still looks the exact same,
Right.
but everything before they're just completely just
That's crazy. You'd think they'd want to go
redoing.
fast because that's money to them, but I guess people are going to go no matter what. So,
Well, and
whatever.
every time they open a new thing, it's like, oh, this just opened at Epcot. Let's go check it out. And of course, you have the Guardians ride, and like oh my god, the Starbucks now is
Yeah.
huge. Um, but I need to do another because you know how the monorail at Epcot, if you take the monorail from Magic Kingdom to Epcot, it goes like around Epcot. So that's fun to do right now because it's the only way you can see behind the walls, so you can actually see the progress of it.
Oh, interesting.
So that's kind of cool. And I'm sure there's a ton of YouTube videos out there and whatnot. But next time I'm on the monorail, I'll take a video and post it. Indiana Jones comes out June 30th. Did you know we're
Looks
getting a
like it.
new Transformers movie?
I did. I shared the trailer. Obviously, it's first of all, Indiana Jones looks great. Second of all,
I did skip over
it's
that way too fast.
Rise of the Beasts. I'm excited because I love Beast. Wars as a kid, which is Transformers Beast Wars and stuff like that. So this looks like right up my alley. Am I going to watch it? You betcha. Did I have an idea that Transformers had a new movie coming out? Absolutely not, but I'm still going to go see it. Me and Oliver, front
Yeah.
row seats. Well, not front row, our necks will hurt, but back row seats, day one.
I guess that, yeah, that's what kind of took me by surprise is I didn't realize that this was in the works.
I had zero idea. That's very interesting. Yeah, I had no idea.
I'm guessing it's not going to be connected to any of the other ones.
No, I think it is.
Is it?
I don't know.
I never
Does
finished
anybody
the
know what the
Mark Wahlberg one. It
Transformers?
was so bad.
Does anybody know what the Transformers universe really is? Like they're all over the place.
Yeah. I guess we don't even
It's
understand. Do they
always
have
like
souls?
Optimus Prime be like, "I'll save humanity," and Megatron's like, "Prime." And he's like, "Not today!" Bang, bang, explosion, slow motion. Ah! And
There's a
then they're
few all
like,
sparks in there.
yeah, a few all sparks. And then at the end, Optimus Prime is like, "This is a message to any surviving Autobots. Earth is our home." And then, what
Protect
I've
humans.
done. And there you go. There's your scene. That's the movie. All of them.
So that 90s show is coming to Netflix on January 19th and they released a
Yeah.
trailer.
I didn't care for that 70s show.
I liked it. I'm excited for
Ooh,
that
come
90s
after me.
show.
I said what I said.
For shame. And my last piece of news is Doctor Who has begun filming
Who?
next season. That's it. That's all I got.
Doctor Who. Yeah, love me some Who, baby. I got some news. Mandalorian season 3 news, in fact. March 1st is going to be Mando season 3's premiere. And they have said that they surprised us with Luke. They've surprised us with Baby Yoda. Surprised us. I'm having a lot of trouble speaking. But apparently they got us hyped. Like there's a lot of things that is going to be on bigger scale. A lot of stuff that you guys have no idea is coming. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Blue Beetle will be in theaters August 18th, 2023. And I'm excited for that too. If you don't know who plays that, that's Zolo from Cobra Kai. He's playing Blue
I
Beetle. And
forgot that was him.
this is a lesser known character. A lot of people don't know who, Blue Beetle is, but Blue Beetle is a very badass character. I think he's going to be kind of like the Spider-Man of the DCEU, if
Ah.
we even get that off the ground, which leads into our next news. A lot of rumors coming around from the Hollywood Reporter lately. So number one is that Wonder Woman 3 is not in the works. Apparently, Patty Jenkins was offered a chance to rewrite the script. She declined to do that. So not really sure what's happening there. Henry Cavill may or may not be Superman still. We're back on that
What?
roller coaster. Yeah.
Cheese and rice.
Superman's up in the air as far as the Flash goes. I don't really know. Nobody really knows. And James Gunn came out and said that, yeah, what Hollywood Reporter said, there was some truth, there were some lies, and then there were some things that we don't know is true yet. So, and the latest thing that I saw from the Hollywood Reporter is that there's not going to be a Black Adam sequel. So,
Oh, I heard they were saying that like bombed at the box office, but
oh
I
my
thought it was a
God.
great
I
movie.
thought it was a good movie. Look, I'm just
It's
so
so hard
tired of
now with the
people like,
theaters and
oh,
everything.
because it didn't earn $7 billion. Yeah, I don't know.
I thought
But
it was great.
so who knows? They don't have their full fleshed plan yet, James Gunn and Peter Safran. They are gonna have it soon, I guess. But nobody
Right.
knows exactly what's happening with DC. But Wonder Woman 3 isn't happening as of now. My idea is keep the actors, reboot the entire universe. But I guess we're gonna find out in the next few months. And then the
I just
last
hope I mean, you have James Gunn, so it doesn't concern me too much. But like the fact that they brought again, Black Adam wasn't a widely known character, and now they're doing Blue Beetle, and it's like I want more of those unknown characters in the DC
I mean,
universe.
yes, but I also want a Man of Steel too. Finally, like, give us a
Well,
proper
yeah, I
Superman
just want Henry
film. Like,
Cavill.
give us just a proper DC universe. I don't even know anymore. I'm so tired as a DC fan. I really am so tired. These, I don't even
Yeah.
think these movies are all that bad. I enjoy these movies, most of them, but like, it's exhausting. I don't. It's exhausting being a fan of DC. So, whatever. Last piece
I
of
feel
news
like
on a go
the
ahead.
thing with DC is you go into it and you don't know if you're going to enjoy it. If I go, whatever I go into a Marvel, I know I'm going to enjoy
Well,
it. I just don't know what level of enjoyment I'm going to
it
receive.
it's truly hard to really get into DC because it's like, okay, are they just going to completely pretend none of this happened. Is
Right.
all
They're going to
that
have an
stuff.
end
So
credit scene and never do anything with it.
exactly, it's really hard to really get into these movies because you don't know if it's going to happen, if it's not going to happen, or what this has to do with the rest of the movie. I don't know. So hopefully we find out soon. Last bit of news, Jedi Survivor coming to a video game console near you on March 16th. That is the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, which Cal Kestis is back, baby. Hopefully we get to see a lot of good stuff. I'm
I
excited
want a
for this
live
video
action
game.
of him.
I do too. And that's been the long standing rumor. So who knows? Maybe we're going to get that soon. But that's all the news I have. Do you have anything before we go into our main topic?
No, I'm ready to talk about beating children with sticks.
All right, folks, let's go talk about killing little children who are bad around the holidays. We'll see you in just a second. We're back. Here we are to talk about Krampus, or sometimes he's referred to as the Christmas Devil. So, first things first, folks, if you are drinking along at your office desk or whatever it is you're doing, take a sip every time we say Krampus. Now, the European version of St. Nicholas have long had scary counterparts like Belsnickel and Knecht
There's going to
Ruprecht.
be a little bit of German in here,
All
so
right.
bear with us.
How do you say these? Knecht Ruprecht? I don't know.
I don't know.
You
Say
guys
it
look it up.
angry.
Knecht
Necht
Ruprecht. I'm angry because I don't know how to pronounce these. Anyways, they dole out punishment. Krampus is one such character who comes from folklore in Austria's Alpine region, where he's been frightening children and amusing adults for hundreds of years, according to History.com. So, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and tell us the lore behind Krampus?
So, some of the lore. So, Krampus is half human, half goat hybrid that I already forgot to take a sip when you said Krampus.
Oh,
My bad.
Jesus.
Krampus, okay, he's a half goat hybrid that captures and punishes naughty children at Christmas time. He's often seen with his tongue hanging out like the "What's up" ghost face, and he tends to carry, which he's doing on my shirt. That's what I'm
What's
trying to show.
up?
Yeah,
Those commercials or
and
something?
yeah, and he tends to carry chains thought to symbolize the binding of the devil by the Christian church. It is believed that Krampus originated in Germany about 1500 years ago during a pagan winter solstice celebration, because that's where we get all our best stuff is from pagans. We get Christmas beer, Halloween, Krampus, all the best stuff comes from the pagans.
That's right.
The name Krampus comes from the German word Krampen, meaning claw, or from Bavarian culture where
Means Jesus was
Krampen
cramping.
dead or rotting.
Oh.
The legends state that Krampus is the son of Hel. This fun fact I really liked, which Hel is Hela from Norse mythology. Hela is not actually the sister of Thor and Loki in the mythology, but actually Loki's daughter. So this would make Krampus the grandson of Loki. With Krampus being an evil pagan symbol, the Christians did try and prevent him from being celebrated, which they tend to do. But that's how we got Halloween too. Remember, we talked about that a month or so ago.
It all comes full circle.
But they were not so fortunate. Santa and Krampus show up in Germany on December 5th, also known as Krampenschnacht. So while Santa leaves presents, Krampus beats children with sticks, eats them, or drags them to hell. So the next morning, kids wake up to presents, injuries, death, or eternal damnation.
I like to hold that. There's a lot there. All right, there's a lot to unpack. Like, congrats, kids. You're either going to wake up and be really happy with your presents, maybe you're a little maimed, scarred, you might be dead, or hear me out, you're going to be eternally in ninth grade algebra for the rest of your life.
Oh, geez, ninth grade algebra.
Exactly. You're going to be in eternal damnation. That's a wide range of emotions to feel like, yay, presents, or, oh, God, Mrs. Burns from my ninth grade algebra is going to be there droning me to death.
So there's one scene in Supernatural where they go to hell for a second, and the king of hell at the time, he made the system where it's just a really long line and you get a number, and then somebody goes, well, what happens at the end of the line? He goes, they just get back in line. And that's hell. Oof. So they were coming up with creative ways to punish people in hell. Okay, do you want to tell us about Krampus's army of elves?
Yes, give me 1 second. So Krampus has an army of elves called Perchten, maybe something like that.
Perchten. You have to say English.
Perchten. Ah,
I don't know. Some of this lore, not all the lore is German, but
look, we really don't pronounce things well here, and I don't speak German, so
we don't even pronounce all our English words correctly.
Exactly. But what these elves help Krampus do are carry out his duties. Some of the lore says that
You
Krampus is
said
the
duties.
evil brother or possibly the evil twin of Santa. What? Who knew Tim Allen had an evil twin? He was supposedly invented just to punish kids who wouldn't listen. Well, I got a couple of kids next door you can go ahead and talk to.
Like evilly genius.
That is, yeah. Like whoever
Like
thinks
think
of
of the
these things,
therapy.
like I love this. I love this. The English tradition of Krampus was that he would accompany Santa to help determine which kids were naughty and which kids were nice. Krampus would then beat the naughty kids with sticks. You got what you had coming to you, you little bastard. Apparently, there was a lot of beating children with sticks before wooden spoons became a thing. Well, or you can be like my parents and use 2x4.
Jeez.
Anyways, during the
Wooden
Victorian
spoons are in my house.
during
Not
the
me as a
Victor
parent.
well,
I
wooden
don't
spoons got
beat
broken
my
over my
kids.
ass, so they upgraded to the old 2x4 because hey, if they can hold a house while being built, they can go over my ass or whatever my parents thought. Anyways, during the Victorian era, the 1800s, it was not uncommon to see Christmas cards in England featuring Krampus beating children and or kidnapping them. First of all, you'd be canceled today, okay? You'd be canceled very quickly. You can't do that. You can't beat your kids in this economy, all right, folks? Some Krampus cards in the early 20th century actually show him punishing children, but also proposing to women because you know what? He's going to be the stepdad that gets your kids in order. Okay. But
I'd wait till
also,
your dad gets home.
you just wait. You're not my real dad. Pop, pop, what you say to me? In some cards, Krampus is portrayed as a large woman whipping tiny men with her, some people are into that, birch sticks and carrying them off in her satchel. Now, while Krampus cards went MIA for a little while, in 2004, when art director and graphic designer Monte Beauchamp published a book of Krampus cards and helped organize an art show that was inspired by the cards. Etsy also has a lot of Krampus cards to this day. So, did you get any from Etsy? Did you get any to leave under the kids' pillow when they're being bad? Because I'm considering it right now, especially if my daughter gets sent home one more time.
Oh, when we get to the traditions, you need to have like one of your neighbors do the traditions. We'll get there in a minute.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it is quite evilly genius.
Parents, we think of some really crazy stuff.
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know what
guess
to
you got to
tell
do
you.
what you got to do. You couldn't just give a kid an iPad back then.
No.
So, some of the traditions to celebrate, obviously, today we have things like beer fests and whatnot. But for hundreds of years, parents have dressed as Krampus themselves to scare their kids, and many have drunkenly run through the streets to scare the crap out of little kids while having some fun. So pay a neighbor some money, give them some beer, and tell them to run through your neighborhood looking for naughty children.
My
Still
neighbor's my
sounds like a
boss. I bet you
pedophile's dream. This is
oh
terrible,
God, yeah. Are you registered, sir? Krampus, are you
right?
registered? But like my
Oh my
boss would probably
gosh.
do this for free because I have to leave work because of my daughter. So he'd probably be like, yeah, yeah, I'll dress up like
Well, if
Krampus.
the guy asks, well, do you live within 100 yards of a school? Just walk away.
Yeah, if you knock on this person's door and they're like, ooh, I am actually not allowed to be around children, then you should probably not ask
Oy.
this neighbor.
So, every year during the weeks leading up to Christmas, Krampus parades are held in the Alpine villages of Austria. Families gather to watch the Krampus parade, where the young men dress up in fur suits, wooden masks, and cowbells ride firelit chariots to create a terrifying ambiance. I love
So
how
it's
the
really just a
article.
furry convention.
But I pulled most of this stuff from history.com. I got some of it from Britannica and then a couple other articles. But I love that, like, that was a quote from the article, that a terrifying ambiance.
Ooh, it creates
That's an
such a
ambiance.
terrifying ambiance. I mean, I don't know. Terrifying for who? The kids? Yes. The parents? No, because your problems are about to be solved.
I'm guessing when they say that, like, it would be like today, like, that's what I'm going for in my living room in October, is a terrifying ambiance.
What's the feng shui?
Right. A little bit of Jack Skellington, a little bit of Haunted Mansion, some pumpkin bourbon
Krampus
candles lit.
punishing children? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I just got my first Krampus apparel. I mean, I'm open minded to getting more
Uh
Krampus
oh.
decor.
Poor Lauren's kids. Actually, I might be
I'm gonna
calling
take a
you as my
pause real
neighbor and
quick.
scaring. What?
I was just gonna say I opened another beer.
Oh, would you open?
Uh, I'm not playing the drinking game. I'm doing really bad. So this is called Two Turbid Doves. It's a hazy IPA from Green Bench Brewing, which is in
Oh,
St. Petersburg, Florida, near Tampa. It's a cute little Christmas ugly sweater can. And it's a nice little hazy. It's very light. It's a hazy holiday IPA double dry hop with Nelson, Sauvignon, and lemon drop.
Ooh.
Probably why it's light. Very light, very refreshing.
See, now I'm drinking the Santa's White Christmas Stout from 1010 Brewing, which we've been to together in Orlando before. This is a 7.5%. Huh. Didn't realize that. That's cool. Well, that's what I opened up. Orlando beer. Because, why not?
It's a Thursday.
It is.
So, after creating a terrifying ambiance, our next bit of information is in the late 1900s, which sounds super weird to say, but I didn't know how else to say it. Austria and Germany began Krampus runs in order to attempt to preserve the Krampus custom called Krampusschlaf, which literally just means Krampus run. The original tradition, which often involved alcohol, shockingly, had people dressed as Krampus type creatures and parade through streets, scaring spectators and sometimes chasing them. So today they have actual runs where they dress up and scare kids. Like that
Ooh.
would be a fun run to do. Like you're just like
Let's
running.
go
I mean,
do a
that would keep
5K
your
and we're just terrifying the neighborhood.
yeah, I mean, running sucks. So you got to do whatever you can do to entertain
It's
yourself.
true. It does.
At the same time, Krampus grew and grew internationally in popularity. And we can see this evidence by movies and TV shows, which some actually believe Krampus has gotten bigger as a reaction to the over commercialization of Christmas.
Oh, well.
And because people love a terrifying ambiance.
That's true. That's true.
So, did you
Well,
know this fun fact about? So, now we're going to go into a little bit of pop culture. Did you know this fun fact about the Krampus movie?
let's go into the 2015 Krampus movie. So, 2015, Michael Dougherty actually who wrote and directed the Halloween horror flick Trick or Treat, co-directed this Christmas horror flick called Krampus. I remember the trailer for this movie. It was really cool. Like I remember the chains and then the little girl getting dragged from underneath the car. That's one thing. And I actually saw this movie in theaters. So,
Oh,
uh, he hinted in the past that the two films probably take place in some kind of shared universe, and if it's possible, we might see the evidence of that in the upcoming sequel, Trick or Treat 2. Now, there are subtle nods to Trick or Treat and Krampus, where there are more obvious ones, but they got cut. But when Max offers his cousins some Halloween candy, you can see Sam's pumpkin lollipop and some of the candy from the movie, because no real candy brands actually wanted to be in the movie. Spoiler alert. Uh, yeah, so a Christmas horror story 20. Oh, so sorry.
wait,
Let me
before
go
we go
back.
on,
Let me
yeah.
let me back up. Sorry. I got ahead of myself here. Yes. Hit me.
Did you know that though, that they're connected with Trick or Treat?
I didn't know this. No, I had no idea it was the same actor. So actually, fun fact is oh man, I blank on his name, but he's Derek and Step Brothers. He's
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I should know it too because I actually just did the
Oh
Krampus
my
video and
god,
I said
I
his name.
forgot his
He's
name.
married to
He's
All
in holy god.
right, go
He's
ahead
in
and tell your
Parks and
story
Rec.
while I look up. Colette
But
is one of them. While I
he's
look
in
it
this
up.
movie. No, I really enjoy this movie. I remember watching it in theaters. Like I said, it's very interesting because the kids are obviously assholes in this movie, and the grandma
Adam
warns them.
Scott.
Adam Scott, that's what it was, and the kids are a-holes in this movie, and the grandma warns them, and all that stuff. And it's not a very long movie, about an hour and a half, but it gets pretty tense at moments. And Krampus is pretty badass looking in this movie, I thought. So if you haven't watched Krampus from 2015, I really please go and do so because it's a good movie. I really think it's a good movie.
Yeah, and we've been taking turns doing recommendations for movies on our TikTok and YouTube. And I did do Krampus because I just feel like it has a little bit of everything. I mean, it scares you. It's got like a gorgeously decorated Christmas house, and it's funny. It has very dark humor, and it's all comedians. Like the main characters, other than the kids, they're all well-known comedians,
Yeah,
except for the one mom. I didn't know who the one mom was. The sister.
that's yeah, so that's true. Well, there's also a movie called A Christmas Horror Story, which is a 2015 anthology film where William Shatner, a radio DJ on Christmas, ties all of these Christmas horror stories together. So two of the stories involve Krampus. I've actually seen this movie as well. And one has Santa Claus, who's discovered that all of his elves and his wife have turned into violent zombies. And he, of course, has to defend himself and then fight Krampus, which, fun twist, there are ghosts, changelings, lots of Krampus, William Shatner, and I've seen this movie. It's
Thought
actually
you were about
pretty.
to give away the twist. I was like,
Nope,
don't do it.
I've actually really enjoyed this. So go watch this movie.
So this one, so last year Matt and I were in a competition on another podcast about Christmas movies, and there was a Christmas horror section. And the only Christmas horror movie I had ever seen before that was Krampus. And so I watched many a terrible horror Christmas movie, but I would say that this was probably the best one, A Christmas Horror Story. It was a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
mean, what don't you want in a horror movie but fun?
Why don't you take us away with Supernatural?
Yeah, there's been a lot of supernatural in this episode. So Supernatural season 3. Sadly, there was never a Krampus episode. I feel like there should have been. Of 15 years, they only had one Christmas episode.
That's kind of wow, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know because I feel like this episode that we're doing right now there's quite a few different things, and what it ended up being in this specific episode was actually pagan gods. It was a fun episode though. It's an adorable episode, and then they have to stab the pagan gods with the Christmas tree and whatnot.
Interesting.
But they do talk because at first they think they're dealing with a Krampus, so they give you, they look into it, and what Sam says is, this is evil Santa. There's some version of the Anti Claus in every culture. You get Belsnickel, Krampus, Black Peter, whatever you want to call it. There's all sorts of lore behind basically evil Santa. Back in the day, Santa's brother went rogue, and now he shows up around Christmas time. Instead of bringing presents, he punishes the wicked. So I actually did a Google on Black Peter and Belsnickel. So the Black Peter thing, I Googled this and this was incredibly disturbing and not what I expected at all. So Black Peter, aka Schwartz Pieten, Pieten, uh, is actually supposed to be Santa's helper. And this originated in the 1800s. And as Santa's helper, he goes with Santa and he gives the kids candy. However, up until very, very recently, even at schools in the Netherlands, they were doing this, and Black Peter is a white person with blackface.
Well, that's not okay.
No.
You can't do
So
that.
the articles I were reading were like from 2018 and 2019 because people were like protesting it.
You
And
can't do
I was
that.
like, yeah, it was a little bit mind blowing. So there was one mother who was speaking, and her son, I think the kid's mulatto because they said that his dad was black, but they didn't say that his mom was. And so what she said was the killing of George Floyd in the United States and its aftermath made the need for change undeniable. One man had to die, and the whole world was protesting. And I think the school opened their eyes a little bit, she says. And this was from Time. So this was a reputable, magazine or a well known magazine. So
Just a
I was
little bit.
totally mind blown. And then I was like, well,
That's
why were they
insane.
even mentioning that in Supernatural? But that fucking blew my mind.
That's just insane.
And of course, anything blackface, they're not portraying this character in an intelligent manner.
No,
So
at all.
better late than never, I guess. So I also Googled Belsnickel. It basically said he was a combination of Krampus and Santa. And if you're an Office fan, you may remember there was an episode where Dwight dressed up as Belsnickel. I did not fall down the rabbit hole of Belsnickel. I'm sure there's a lot more. If it's worth it, maybe we'll do that next year.
I
But
actually
that's
have
all I
some
got
I have some
on
more
Krampus.
modern history and stuff. So actually, fun fact, in the aftermath of the 1932 election in Austria, the Krampus tradition was prohibited by the fascist regime that took over and the Christian Social Party. But in the 1950s, the government distributed pamphlets titled Krampus is an Evil Man. And then towards the end of the century, a popular resurgence of Krampus celebrations occurred and also continues today. The Krampus tradition is being revived in Bavaria as well, along with the local artistic tradition of hand carved wooden masks. In
Oh,
2019,
that's
there were
fun.
reports of drunken or disorderly conduct by masked Krampuses in some Austrian towns.
Oh, of
So,
course.
of course, we have Krampus Not, which takes place in parts of Europe on the 6th of December. So, on the preceding evening of 5 December, Krampus Night or Krampus Not, the wicked hairy devil appears on the streets, sometimes accompanying St. Nicholas and sometimes on his own. Krampus visits homes and businesses, and the saint usually appears in the Eastern Rite vestments of a bishop. He carries a golden ceremonial staff, unlike North American versions of Santa Claus. In these celebrations, St. Nicholas concerns himself only with good children, while Krampus is responsible for the bad. St. Nick dispenses the gifts, while Krampus supplies coals and the root. Now, There's also a seasonal play called Perchtenloff, maybe if that's what it might be pronounced. I don't know. But it's a seasonal play that's spread throughout the Alpine regions, and it was called Nicholas's Play. It's inspired by Paradise Plays, which focused on Adam and Eve's encounter with a tempter. The Nicholas plays featured competition for the human souls and played on the question of morality. In these plays, St. Nick would reward children for scholarly efforts rather than for good behavior. And then this is a theme that actually grew in the Alpine region, where the Roman Catholic Church actually had significant influence. There were already established pagan traditions in this region. People would masquerade as a devilish figure known as Perched, a two-legged humanoid goat with a giraffe-like neck wearing animal furs. People wore costumes and marched in processions known as Perchten Laughlin, sure, which is regarded as an earlier form of Krampus runs. Funny enough, it's going back to the Krampus runs. So this transformed into what is known as Krampus and was made to be subjected to Saint Nick's
Subjugated.
will. Yeah, subjugated. You know what I'm trying to say here, folks. Anyways, Krampus Lauf, it is customary to offer a Krampus schnapps, which is a strong distilled fruit brandy. Peppermint schnapps was always like the most popular one for me growing up. Don't know why. I got basic shit. Anyways, these may include
That'd be good
the
for Christmas.
it's there's a lot of wild pagan spirits in German folklore, and sometimes Krampus is also female in representation. So that's also another little fun thing. And then we have the greeting cards that we've talked about, and then different region variations. So yeah, every year there are arguments during Krampus runs. Occasionally, spectators take revenge for whippings and attack Krampus. In 2013, over several Krampus runs in eastern Tyrol, a total of 8 injured people, mostly with broken bones, were admitted to the hospital,
Oh my
and over
gosh,
60
broken
other
bones.
patients were treated on an outpatient basis. Yeah, so it gets kind of wild out there, apparently. Who knew?
Wow.
Pe-
They're still mild here in the States, as far as I
Screw
know.
you, Krampus.
So some of the costumes I did see, I posted a reel on my personal Instagram, the Hoppy Mommy, but I'll post pictures of some of the Krampuses I did see when this episode dropped, so you can find those on our Instagram. But the way some of these were dressed, it was like I don't know how they could walk, let alone run. Like they
Yeah,
were
they're
elaborate.
like they look heavy. Like
Yeah,
some of these
especially
costumes look heavy.
because they're like goat heads. The head is, I mean, yeah, they got it. I mean, I would imagine my back would hurt at the end of the night.
Now, I will say that there have been a lot of other movies with Krampus in it. That's not just the Krampus that we know from 2015, but there are a lot of other movies called Krampus, which you can probably find on Shudder and things like that. But the most popular one is obviously 2015. And the box office for that was actually 42.7 million, and it has a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and it's at 66%, which isn't terrible
So I
considering.
just searched on Amazon for Krampus like a few days ago to just like have something on while I was doing stuff. And I was like, oh, here's a Krampus movie. And I put it on and I got through maybe 15 minutes and it was the world's worst acting. It's like those movies where it's like, so basically the premise of this, the very beginning was you see Krampus like dump a sack into like a frozen like lake, or it's all snow. The lake's not frozen over, but he dumps it in, and then Krampus walks away, and you see this little boy climb out of this hole and run away, and Krampus is scratching off this kid's name on his list, and then all of a sudden later, the name
You're
that's
selling me
scratched
so
off,
hard right now.
like the line over the kid's name vanishes, and then it jumps to present day, and this kid's grown and he's a cop, and all of a sudden kids are going missing
Of
again.
course he's a cop.
But the acting was
Hey,
just
Cap!
horrendous. It's like I've never tried to act outside of maybe my second grade play,
This
and
reminds
like I
me.
felt like I could have done better.
Have you seen the trailer for the Mean One? That I almost went and saw that movie in
I
theaters
did see
today.
the trailer for Mean
I
One, and
almost went and saw
Brielle, my
that
10-year
today.
old, is stoked and wants to know when it's
It's in
coming out.
theaters right now in Regal Theaters.
I
It was
love
like a
how
short
they keep
run.
going to say Grinch and they don't.
They do. Yeah, I've noticed that too. So I'm curious, like, what is the property behind this? Very
I don't
curious.
know.
I don't
You know,
know,
if the
but
acting is okay, I can push through anything. It's
no, the acting's not going to be good in that movie
because
at
when
all.
the acting's so bad, you can't get lost in it at all because you
You
know
speak
without
for
a doubt it's all
yourself.
bullshit. You should speak for
Yeah,
yourself.
speak for yourself.
I mean, I'm not saying that I believe that everything in a Marvel movie is accurate, but like you can't get lost in it when it's just so obviously fake.
Yeah, I don't know. I can, but I'm just
I
easy to
mean,
please sometimes. I watch Hallmark Christmas movies, so what do I know?
all right, well, I will look it up and let you know exactly what
Yeah.
movie it was.
Well, folks, we'll let you know next week. But yeah, that's been our Krampus episode. So Krampus not has passed, of course. However, just know you still should not be a little asshole, especially your kids. And next week, we are going to be talking, some Mickey's Christmas Carol, some stuff like that, where we have a very fantastic guest that will be joining us, and we're going to talk about her comic book. And we're all parents, so we're going to talk about some Mickey's Christmas Carol and some of the Muppets Christmas Carol, things of that nature, some lighthearted goodness. Speaking of the Muppets Christmas Carol, at this point, they have put that new version on Disney Plus. So go ahead and check that out. The ad version of Disney Plus has launched. Ugh, I haven't even. If you have the ad version, I'm sorry, but
Wait, there's an ad version? I guess we did know this. Why is I thought that was
yes,
just
it
Netflix?
launched. It's launched as of today. So, yeah. The
That's why our
only
Disney Plus is
streaming
going up so
service that does
much.
not have ads right now is Apple TV, funny enough. So,
And they're the cheapest.
yeah, exactly, like $2 or something like that. I don't know. But that's all we got for this week, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. As always, go subscribe to us, go leave a review, go do whatever it is that you kids do these days. We are Hops Geek News, and until next time, be good for Krampus.